Have you ever bought a highly rated English course, downloaded maybe 3 different language apps in a single afternoon, binge-watched a dozen YouTube teachers back to back, and yet at the end of the day felt like you learned absolutely nothing?
Oh, I think we have all been there. It is a completely overwhelming feeling.
Yeah, it really is. And what if the very organ you rely on to learn your brain is actually actively tricking you into feeling productive while it's secretly destroying your actual progress?
That is exactly what we need to figure out how to dismantle today. That exact illusion.
Right. So today, you will learn exactly how to stop chasing shiny new things, build bulletproof cognitive focus, and simultaneously master B2 and C1 level English vocabulary so you can, sound significantly more natural and confident.
Absolutely.
But before we reveal the total 3 vital techniques to permanently fix your focus, let me give you one absolutely critical learning right now, right up front. Excitement is not proof of progress.
Whoa, that is so important. Excitement does not equal progress.
Exactly. So welcome to this English learning deep dive for daily life, real conversation, and easy listening practice.
And we want to say this specific deep dive is designed entirely for you, the ambitious learner. Because we really need to be completely honest about the situation you are in right now. You aren't lazy.
Right. The lazy learner is a total myth.
It is a complete myth, and we're going to debunk it today. Your brain is simply getting pulled in far too many directions by an environment that is actually engineered to distract you.
Yeah, engineered to grab your attention.
Exactly. So if you want to finally break that exhausting, just demoralizing cycle of restarting your studies over and over again, and if you actually want to see real, tangible fluency in your daily life, you are in the exact right place today.
I love that.
We want to inspire you to speak up, to challenge your own assumptions and take full ownership of your learning journey today. You have the agency to change your cognitive habits right now. Because fluency is not about being flawless. It is about being focused.
Wow, yeah. I think that framing changes everything, honestly. So today, we are going to decode the evolutionary reasons why the human brain absolutely loves new things. We are going to systematically replace the negative self-talk that sabotages so many learners. And we're going to integrate incredibly powerful advanced vocabulary directly into this discussion.
It's going to be a very packed session.
It is. But first, we really need to address the elephant in the room. Why does your brain act like a hyperactive puppy in a park the moment you try to sit down and study? We'll unpack the neurology behind that right now.
Yeah, to understand this puppy brain concept, we have to look at the sheer mechanics of human attention and evolutionary biology.
Right, going back to the caveman days.
Exactly. The human brain is quite literally wired to seek out novelty. For our ancient ancestors, discovering something new, like a new foraging area, a new type of berry, or a new tool that was literally a matter of survival.
So it was life or death to find new things.
Yes, and the brain rewarded that discovery with a massive surge of dopamine.
Oh, the feel-good chemical.
Right, the feel-good chemical.
Yeah.
But fast forward to today. When your brain sees a shiny new method, beautifully designed app with gamified rewards, or a fresh minimalist notebook, or a heavily advertised online course promising fluency in 30 days, it releases that exact same dopamine.
So it thinks you just found a new bush of berries to survive the winter.
Basically, yes.
Yeah.
It runs after this new stimulus exactly like a puppy chasing a squirrel in a park. And it's an adorable trait in a puppy, sure, but it is an absolute disaster for your long-term focus.
Yeah, I can see how that completely derails you.
We have to recognize that when we indulge this instinct, we aren't actually learning English. We are merely collecting English learning tools.
Collecting versus learning, that distinction is so profound. It really reminds me of that psychological concept of identity signaling.
Oh yeah, identity signaling is a huge part of this.
Right, like when we buy the expensive running shoes, we get a dopamine hit because we're signaling to ourselves that we are now, a runner, even if we haven't taken a single step outside yet.
We've all bought the shoes and never run.
Exactly. In language learning, downloading the PDF makes us feel like a fluent speaker. The beginning of any new endeavor just feels so incredibly intoxicating.
It does.
You sit down at your desk and think, new notebook, new study plan, a completely new version of me. But then, day 4 inevitably arrives.
Yes, day 4, the reality check.
The initial motivation dips, the harsh reality of active cognitive load sets in, and suddenly your brain perceives the effort as a threat. It just wants to quit the current method and start looking for the next squirrel to chase.
And that phenomenon you just described, it is deeply rooted in how our neurochemistry actually fluctuates. By day 4, the initial dopamine rush, that neurochemical reward for simply finding something new, has completely metabolized. It's worn off.
So the high is gone.
The high is gone, and you are left with the actual, literal friction of learning. And this introduces a crucial trap that ambitious learners fall into. Cognitive psychologists often refer to it as the trap of productive distraction.
Productive distraction. That sounds like an oxymoron.
It does. But we possess this incredible capacity to rationalize our behavior. We convince ourselves that, well, as long as the distraction is tangentially related to education, it must be beneficial.
Now, hold on. I really want to push back on that premise for a second, because I think this is where a lot of learners, including myself, get pretty defensive.
Okay, let's hear the defense.
Well, if I decide to skip my planned speaking practice, right, but instead I spend my entire evening watching a highly informative English grammar video on YouTube, or I download a beautifully formatted, comprehensive vocabulary PDF and read through it, I am objectively still engaging with the language. I'm still learning.
I see where you're going with this.
So how can exposing myself to more educational material possibly be categorized as a bad thing?
It's a highly logical defense.
Right.
It really is. But it relies on a fundamental misunderstanding of skill acquisition.
Okay, unpack that for me.
If we connect this to the broader architecture of learning, we have to evaluate your actions against your original intention. If your new shiny activity pulls you away from the specific active practice you actually plan to do, it is a distraction. Full stop.
Wow. Even if it's educational.
Even if it's educational. The educational nature of the distraction merely serves as a psychological alibi.
Okay.
Let's look at a very concrete scenario. Suppose your stated goal for the day was to record one single 2-minute voice note practicing your speaking.
Just 2 minutes.
Right. That requires active recall. It requires you to formulate thoughts and physically articulate them. But instead of doing that hard, active work, you watched 5 different well-produced videos about how to speak confidently.
Oh, I've definitely done that.
Most people have. But did you practice the mechanical and cognitive skill of speaking? No. You simply watched other people explain the abstract concept of speaking. You didn't do the work. You consumed content about the work.
It's the illusion of competence. You watch the video, you understand the teacher's explanation perfectly, and your brain falsely registers that comprehension as mastery.
Exactly. Comprehension is not mastery.
It's like watching a cooking show and believing you are now a Michelin star chef, only to just burn the water when you finally enter the kitchen. I know exactly how that movie plays out in our heads.
The movie version of the future, right?
Yes. Let's map out that movie version of the future. You download a brand new speaking app on a Monday. You breeze through 4 quick introductory lessons. You get all the virtual confetti exploding on your screen, the cheerful sound effects chime, and you feel incredibly accomplished.
You feel like a genius.
You do. And you close your eyes and start vividly imagining yourself navigating a busy international airport, ordering a complex coffee with flawless pronunciation, charming the barista, complete with like a cinematic, inspiring soundtrack playing in the background of your mind.
It's a great movie.
But then Thursday comes. The app suddenly feels normal. The algorithmic confetti doesn't trigger that same joy. The repetition feels tedious. It's boring.
And that very sensation of boredom is the exact moment the trap snaps shut. This raises an incredibly important question that every single advanced learner must confront today. What does boredom actually mean in the context of skill acquisition?
Most people think it means the app is broken.
Right. The vast majority of learners fundamentally misinterpret this physiological signal. They view boredom as a mechanical failure of the method. The key insight, the paradigm shift you really must internalize today is this. Excitement is not empirical proof that a new method is superior. And boredom is not empirical proof that your current method has ceased to be effective.
That is so counterintuitive, but it makes perfect sense.
Boredom, in almost all cases of deliberate practice, simply indicates that the superficial novelty has faded. The brain is no longer being entertained, which means the actual deep structural cognitive learning, the literal myelination of your neural pathways, is just beginning to take root.
Excitement is not proof of progress. That phrase alone is worth writing on a sticky note and putting on your bathroom mirror.
Highly recommend doing that.
Seriously, if you are having an aha moment right now listening to this, please take a quick second to like, share, and subscribe to the channel to keep building your momentum with us. It takes a lot of effort to put these deep dives together, and your support really helps us keep bringing you these high-level insights.
You really appreciate it.
So returning to our core issue, if the app itself isn't inherently bad, and the grammar PDF isn't some malicious tool, what exactly is the mechanism destroying our progress? We are about to define a very specific, very dangerous psychological habit, and understanding it is going to completely alter how you approach your daily study routine.
The habit that silently erodes your fluency is a behavioral pattern we call method hopping.
Method hopping.
Let's rigorously break this concept down for our advanced B2 and C1 learners, because having the precise vocabulary to describe your own psychological state is half the battle. Method hopping refers to the compulsive jumping from one specific method of learning to another completely different method before giving the initial process sufficient time to actually yield results. It is characterized by a chronic lack of commitment to a single sustained process. And it's driven entirely by an intolerance for the friction of learning.
Now, I want to make a very clear distinction here because the goal isn't to force anyone into blind, dogmatic obedience to a terrible textbook.
No, definitely not.
Right. I don't want you to think you are permanently locked into a routine if it genuinely isn't serving you. Changing your method once because you realize the material is riddled with errors or because it fundamentally clashes with your cognitive learning styles. Say, you are highly auditory and the method is entirely text-based. That is absolutely valid.
Yes, that is a smart move.
That deliberate pivot is what we call intentional learning. But if you are changing your method every single time you feel a momentary spike of frustration, or every time you experience a plateau of boredom, or every time you feel a fleeting moment of self-doubt, that is textbook method hopping.
It's a reaction, not a strategy.
Exactly. Or, as I prefer to frame it, it is emotional switching. You are basically abdicating your executive function and letting your temporary emotional states dictate your long-term focus.
That is a brilliant distinction. Emotional switching is a reflex. It is a subconscious reaction to discomfort. Intentional learning, however, is a calculated decision made by the prefrontal cortex.
Which is where we want to be operating from.
Exactly. And to truly arm you with the linguistic precision you need to articulate these complex learning habits and to actually master B2 and C1 level English while we're at it, we are going to embark on a deep analytical vocabulary exploration right now.
Oh, I love a good word tour.
Yes, a conceptual word tour. We are focusing exclusively on advanced high-utility vocabulary today. Let's begin by dissecting a word we've already introduced a few times: distraction.
Distraction. It's a word we throw around daily, but let's really look at it. At a B2 or C1 level, we understand that a distraction isn't just something noisy in the background.
No, it's much more active than that.
Right. A distraction is any stimulus that actively pulls your attention, your cognitive resources, away from your primary intention or your planned task. The etymology is fascinating too. It comes from Latin, meaning to pull apart or drag away.
To drag away, that paints such a vivid picture.
It really does. Let me give you a very relatable real-life example sentence. My phone is my biggest distraction when I study because every notification breaks my train of thought. It literally pulls your mind apart from the task.
The etymological root perfectly illustrates the psychological reality there. We are being pulled away. Moving to our second term, we have fantastic, highly versatile C1 level noun, novelty.
Novelty.
Novelty refers not just to the object itself, but to the intense emotional excitement or the heightened interest we experience simply because a stimulus is completely new, original, or unusual. It is the fleeting quality of newness.
And it is fleeting.
Very. In terms of usage, it often pairs with verbs describing a decline, because novelty is impermanent. A highly natural example sentence would be, once the novelty of the gamified interface faded, I completely stopped using the language app.
So the app didn't change?
Exactly. The architecture of the app remained identical. Only the psychological novelty wore off.
That brings up a critical point about cognitive load. When we are constantly chasing novelty, we inevitably hit a wall, which leads us to our third essential word: overstimulated.
A very modern word.
Very. This is an adjective that perfectly captures the modern human condition. When you are overstimulated, it means your brain is being subjected to an excessive amount of sensory or cognitive input.
Like doom scrolling.
Yes, exactly. We're talking about too much endless scrolling, too many rapidly cut short-form videos, an overload of competing audio tracks. Your working memory essentially crashes. An advanced example sentence would be, I feel completely overstimulated and unable to retain any vocabulary after an hour of scrolling through bite-sized videos on my phone.
Your brain just reaches its bandwidth limit.
It essentially shuts down to protect itself.
Which logically leads us to our fourth word, a concept that acts as the ultimate antidote to overstimulation and method hopping: momentum.
Oh.
In physics, momentum is the quantity of motion of a moving body, measured as a product of its mass and velocity. But in the psychological context of learning, momentum is the continuous forward progress that becomes self-sustaining once you overcome the initial inertia of starting.
Like pushing a boulder.
Exactly. When you maintain a consistent practice every single day, regardless of motivation, you build psychological momentum. The friction decreases. An example sentence highlighting the danger of our topic today is, I completely lose momentum when I constantly method hop because I force myself to start from zero every single week.
You stop the moving object and have to push that heavy boulder up the hill all over again.
It's exhausting just thinking about it.
It is. The boulder analogy is spot on. It takes immense energy to get it rolling, but just a light tap to keep it moving once it has momentum. And how do we ensure we keep tapping it forward? That brings us to our fifth word on this tour. Intentional.
A very powerful adjective.
It is. This describes an action performed with a deliberate, clear purpose and conscious foresight, rather than occurring automatically, reflexively, or by sheer accident. It implies that your executive function is firmly in the driver's seat.
You're making a choice.
Right. Example sentence. I want to be much more intentional with my English speaking practice this week, meaning I will schedule it and execute it regardless of how motivated I feel. You're operating on purpose, not on random bursts of inspiration.
That is an excellent breakdown. Now, to truly elevate your spoken English to that coveted advanced C1 level, we must transition from individual nouns and adjectives to the lifeblood of natural, native-level communication.
Phrasal verbs.
Yes, phrasal verbs. Phrasal verbs are often the defining difference between sounding like a rigid textbook and sounding like a fluent, agile speaker. We're going to teach you 5 complex, highly descriptive phrasal verbs directly derived from our ongoing discussion about cognitive focus and the psychology of learning.
I'm a massive advocate for mastering phrasal verbs. They add so much color and nuance to the language. Let's dive in. The first one is run after.
Run after.
In a literal sense, this means to physically chase someone or something, like running after a bus. But in the metaphorical context of our puppy brain and method hopping, it means to pursue something with excessive or misguided eagerness.
Misguided eagerness is a great way to put it.
The example sentence here is a warning. You are constantly running after every new shiny idea on the internet instead of doing the deep work of finishing your current book. You see a new trend and your attention literally runs after it.
The second phrasal verb is pull away. This is a deeply physical metaphor. To pull away means to physically move backwards or to detach from something, often to avoid something unpleasant.
Right, like pulling your hand away from a hot stove.
Exactly. But in the realm of cognitive focus, it refers to your attention being severed from the primary task. For example, the constant barrage of news notifications on my phone pulled my attention away from the complex grammar lesson I was trying to decode.
It's so forceful.
It is. Notice how pulled away implies a force acting upon you, highlighting the aggressive nature of digital distractions.
That's a fantastic nuance. It's not just that you look away, you are actively pulled away by a stronger force. Number 3 is one of my personal favorites for high-level conversations. Pushback.
Oh, this is a great one for business English, too.
Absolutely. To push back means to actively oppose, resist, or challenge a proposed plan, an accepted idea, or a generalized statement. It's exactly what I did when I challenged your definition of distraction earlier.
It is. You push back perfectly.
An excellent example sentence is, I want to push back on that idea for a second. What if the method I'm currently using is actually just fundamentally flawed? This phrasal verb is an incredibly diplomatic, professional way to politely disagree or introduce a counter-argument in a corporate business meeting, too.
It immediately elevates the sophistication of your disagreement. Number 4 is a wonderful fusion of an idiom and a phrasal verb. Go to your head.
Ooh, I like this one.
If a situation, praise, or a feeling goes to your head, it means it makes you feel unjustifiably proud, arrogant, or it severely clouds your rational judgment.
Like when someone gets a promotion and suddenly they're impossible to work with.
Exactly. It went to their head.
Yeah.
In our specific context of the illusion of competence and early learning, you might issue this advice. Don't let the initial novelty and excitement of a brand new course go to your head. The superficial gamification doesn't exempt you from having to do the grueling hard work of memorization.
It's the linguistic equivalent of saying, stay grounded. And our 5th and final phrasal verb for this segment is warm up. Now, most people know this from a fitness context, right? Meaning to perform light exercises to prepare your body for rigorous activity.
Like stretching before a run.
Right. But applied to language learning and cognitive science, it means preparing your neural pathways to operate in a foreign language. Example, when you commit to practicing speaking daily, your brain starts to warm up to the phonetic demands of the language, and the vocabulary flows much faster and with less hesitation.
What is genuinely fascinating here is how these 5 specific phrasal verbs, run after, pull away, push back, go to your head, and warm up, they provide you with the precise, nuanced linguistic tools required to accurately describe your internal psychological and emotional state while navigating the complexities of learning.
They give you the vocabulary for your own brain.
Exactly. But merely passively understanding them is a trap. You must actively speak them to claim ownership of them.
I couldn't agree more. Passive consumption is the enemy of fluency. And that means it is time for a highly intentional pause break and some active audience participation.
Let's do it.
I am going to read a sentence utilizing these new terms, and I want you, the listener, to repeat it out loud wherever you are right now. I don't care if you are driving your car, cooking dinner, or walking the dog. You need to physically engage your vocal tract and warm up your mouth. I will give you a few seconds after each sentence to repeat it. Ready? Let's begin. I am not going to run after every new shiny idea.
I'll give you a second. Say it out loud.
Great. Next one. I will not let digital distractions pull my attention away.
Take a moment and say it with conviction.
Awesome. And the last one. I need to warm up my brain before I start speaking.
Say it out loud. Let your brain hear your own voice.
Brilliant.
That active vocalized practice is exactly how you begin to build myelin around those new linguistic circuits. Now, we want to push you slightly further outside your comfort zone.
Oh, a challenge.
Yes. We just thoroughly explained 5 advanced keywords and 5 complex phrasal verbs. Your interactive challenge for today is to select just one of them. Perhaps you connected with the physics of momentum or the assertiveness of pushback and write your very own original example sentence in the comment box right now.
Yes, right now.
We want to see exactly how you contextualize and apply this advanced vocabulary to your own specific life circumstances.
We absolutely do. I read the comments, and seeing you guys apply the knowledge is honestly the best part of doing this. So get typing. Now that we have upgraded our vocabulary, we have to look inward. How are we utilizing language when we talk to ourselves?
The internal monologue.
Right. Next, we're going to completely dismantle and rewire your negative internal self-talk. And trust me, understanding the cognitive science behind this is going to be an absolute game changer for your confidence.
This internal rewiring is perhaps the most vital, foundational shift an adult language learner can possibly make. We have to critically examine the immense psychological danger of absolute words, specifically always and never.
Always and never. They're so dangerous.
They are. It is believed by prominent linguists and cognitive psychologists, building on theories related to linguistic determinism and cognitive behavioral therapy, that the specific language we use in our internal monologue literally shapes the boundaries of our external reality.
That is a massive statement. We need to really chew on that for a second. You are suggesting that if I consistently tell myself I can never finish anything I start, I'm not just expressing a temporary frustration. I am actively programming my brain's neural pathways to ensure future failure.
Essentially, yes.
Wow.
When you deploy absolute, uncompromising terms like never or always regarding your own capabilities, it registers in the brain as a finalized state. It sounds completely terminal. The narrative is closed.
So the brain just stops trying.
Exactly. If you confidently tell yourself, I can never grasp the logic of English phrasal verbs, your brain, which is incredibly efficient, stops expending energy looking for solutions or patterns because you have already formally declared the definitive outcome.
That makes biological sense. Why waste energy on a lost cause?
Right. In psychological terms, you are trapping yourself in a rigid, fixed mindset. We urgently need to transition you into a growth mindset by upgrading the structural phrasing of your internal sentences to a B2 or C1 level.
So better English equals better psychology.
Yes. This linguistic upgrade makes you sound more sophisticated and natural, but much more importantly, it forces you to be objectively kinder and more accurate regarding your own potential.
This is where theory meets practice. Let's do some intensive role play with this concept. I am going to read the common, harsh, fixed mindset sentences that I hear learners say all the time in our community. And I want you, the expert, to instantly replace them with kinder, more accurate, advanced phrasing that promotes a growth mindset. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's rewire some thought patterns.
Okay, harsh sentence number 1. I hear this constantly. I'm lazy. I can't focus on my studies.
The problem here is the attack on your core identity. Instead of defining yourself as a permanently flawed individual, you must describe the temporary passing state. Say this instead. I'm having a lot of trouble staying focused today, or using our new vocabulary. My attention is getting pulled in far too many directions right now.
Oh, wow.
Do you hear the immense psychological difference? You aren't intrinsically a lazy human being. You are simply an active learner experiencing a temporary solvable challenge with your environmental focus.
The relief in that second sentence is palpable. It instantly feels lighter, like a burden has been lifted. Okay, harsh sentence number 2. I always change my method. I'm terrible at this.
The word always is the cognitive distortion here. We must eliminate it. Instead, you should articulate the behavior clinically. Say, I've been method hopping lately.
Using the new term.
Yes. By utilizing the specific technical vocabulary we learned today, you accurately name the behavioral pattern. In cognitive behavioral psychology, the moment you can objectively name a negative pattern, you distance yourself from it, which gives you the executive power to actually change it.
That is brilliant. Naming the monster takes away its power to terrify you. Harsh sentence number 3, and this is usually spoken about 2 weeks into a new course. This lesson is boring. It's not working.
Here, the learner is confusing a drop in dopamine with a failure of the material. Instead of declaring the lesson worthless simply because the superficial novelty has faded, upgrade the thought to this. This lesson feels slow and repetitive right now, but it is likely still helping me build structural memory.
That is such a mature way to look at it.
It is. This upgraded, nuanced phrasing gives the method a fair, objective chance to actually work, rather than aggressively shutting it down just because it isn't delivering an instant, entertaining dopamine hit.
That shift requires a lot of maturity. Yeah. You are essentially telling your brain, I know you aren't entertained right now, but we are eating our vegetables.
Exactly. Eat your cognitive vegetables.
All right, the last harsh sentence, and this is a big one. I watched so many videos this month, but I didn't improve my speaking at all. I'm broken.
This statement requires the learner to recognize the fundamental neurological difference between passive consumption and active skill production. Instead of falling into despair, say, I've consumed a lot of passive video content, but I realize I need to shift my strategy and practice much more actively.
I love how that sounds.
It completely shifts the locus of control. It removes the blame from your intrinsic intelligence and places it squarely on your tactical approach. It puts you back in the driver's seat of your own learning journey.
We've successfully fixed the mindset, which is the foundational bedrock of absolutely everything. But a good mindset without execution is just wishing. How do we fix the action?
Right, what do we actually do?
Exactly. When a listener finishes this deep dive, opens their computer, and immediately sees a targeted ad for a shiny new vocabulary app, what exactly, step by step, should they do? We have 3 highly actionable techniques coming up that will change everything about how you manage your study time.
Before we rigidly outline the 3 practical steps, we need to equip our listeners with the specific vocabulary of persistent focus. We spent time analyzing the bad habits and the vocabulary of distraction. Now we must systematically analyze 3 specific C1 level phrasal verbs that accurately describe the process of building momentum and sustaining deep focus.
I have my pen ready. What is the first phrasal verb for persistent focus?
The first is stay with. On the surface, it seems simple, but its application is profound. It means to continue doing something, to remain committed to a process, despite difficulties, boredom, or the temptation to quit. It is the exact antithesis of method hopping.
Stay with.
An example sentence. You need to stay with the study routine that is currently helping you, long enough to actually let the neuroplasticity grow. It implies a deep, resolute loyalty to a chosen process.
Stay with it. I love the quiet determination in that phrase. It's very grounding. The second phrasal verb for building focus is bring back.
Bring back.
Now, we use this in daily life, bring back the milk from the store. But in this cognitive context, it means to consciously, intentionally return your wandering attention to the primary task at hand. When your puppy brain inevitably runs off after a squirrel, you don't punish the puppy. You gently bring it back.
Gently is the key word there.
Right. Example sentence. Every single time you realize you're getting distracted by social media, gently but firmly bring your focus back to the speaking practice.
And the third essential phrasal verb is start cold. This is a highly descriptive phrase that refers to beginning a complex or demanding activity without any recent preparation, mental warm-up, or existing momentum.
Oh, that sounds difficult.
It is. Think of attempting to drive a car with a frozen engine on a sub-zero winter morning. The friction is immense.
It just grinds.
Exactly. Example. If you constantly succumb to method hopping, you force your brain to keep starting cold with new interfaces and new terminology, which is cognitively exhausting. If you never stay with a method, you never get to enjoy the effortless benefits of a warmed-up, momentum-driven brain.
Starting cold is absolutely the worst phase of any project. It takes an astronomical amount of willpower just to overcome the initial inertia. So the ultimate question is, how do we avoid constantly starting cold? How do we build and protect this persistent focus? Let's deliver the core value of today's deep dive, the 3-step focus strategy.
Here we go.
This is the definitive action plan designed to combat the tragedy of being a strong starter, but a weak finisher.
Step 1 is mechanically simple, but psychologically profound. Park the idea.
Park the idea, like a car.
Exactly like a car. When a new idea, a heavily marketed new app, or an incredibly catchy new YouTube channel appears on your screen, you must train your impulse control. Do not chase it immediately. Do not open a new tab on your browser to just quickly check it out.
So what exactly do I do? Just completely ignore it? Because I know my brain. My brain will immediately panic that I am missing out on the ultimate heavily guarded secret to native fluency. The FOMO, the fear of missing out will completely consume my working memory.
No, you absolutely do not ignore it, because ignoring it triggers what psychologists call the Zeigarnik effect.
The Zeigarnik effect.
Yes, it's where uncompleted or unaddressed tasks loop endlessly in your mind, causing stress. Instead, you exteriorize the thought. You write it down on a physical piece of paper. You literally write, investigate that new AI speaking app later. And the exact moment the ink dries, you immediately return your attention to your current scheduled practice.
This is where the cognitive behavioral aspect gets really interesting to me. By taking 3 seconds to write it down on a physical pad, you aren't aggressively rejecting the idea. You are aggressively protecting today's practice.
You're protecting your momentum.
You are essentially telling your brain's alarm system, I hear you, I have logged the information, we will absolutely evaluate this later, but right now, in this moment, we're busy executing our plan. That is such a powerful, mature mindset shift. It satisfies the brain's craving for acknowledgement without sacrificing your momentum.
Exactly.
Wow.
You are actively managing your neurochemistry, which leads directly to step 2. Take 5 quiet minutes.
5 minutes.
Before you begin any session of deep studying or active English practice, you must put your phone in a completely different room. No scrolling, no checking social media feeds, no rapid-fire emails, just 5 minutes of intentional, low-stimulus silence.
Okay, let's unpack the reality of this. Why 5 whole minutes of essentially doing nothing? In our modern, hyper-connected culture, sitting silently for 5 minutes sounds like absolute torture. Most people will reach for their phone after 14 seconds.
It feels like torture, precisely because we live in a chronically overstimulated world. Your brain's dopamine baseline is completely dysregulated by algorithms designed to hijack your attention. If your brain is currently overstimulated from rapidly consuming 30-second, highly produced entertainment videos, then transitioning to normal, deep, methodical English practice is going to feel incredibly slow, painful, and boring by comparison.
It's like eating candy and then trying to eat broccoli. The broccoli tastes terrible.
Perfect analogy. You have to actively lower your dopamine threshold. You have to let your brain physically and neurologically arrive in the room. You have to let the sensory gating mechanisms stabilize so that you possess the actual bandwidth to focus on the subtle, complex nuances of a B2 or C1 level text.
So it's a cognitive palate cleanser. You're letting the brain arrive and recalibrate to a natural baseline. I absolutely love that framing.
Yep.
And finally, we reach step 3. Finish one small thing.
This is where most ambitious learners sabotage themselves. Step 3 does not mean executing a punishing 2-hour mega routine. It does not mean finishing a whole chapter of a dense grammar textbook. It means completing just one highly manageable small thing.
Just one thing.
Read and shadow exactly 10 lines of dialogue. Write exactly 5 original sentences utilizing our new phrasal verbs. Or record one single 30-second voice note summarizing your morning. The scale of the task is irrelevant. The completion of the task is everything.
So if we look at the psychological mechanics of this, what does this all actually mean? It means every single time you achieve a small finish, you are providing your brain with empirical evidence. You are teaching your brain, I am a person who can start a task and continue until it is done.
You're building an identity.
You are systematically building a track record of undeniable success. You are manufacturing a rhythm of momentum. Finishing one incredibly small thing today gives your brain the dopamine reward of completion. And doing it again tomorrow builds the long-term rhythm.
Now, to really prove the efficacy of this concept, let's integrate this directly into something highly practical right this second. Instead of just theorizing about method hopping, let's do a live role-play exercise right now to practice real-life speaking and active listening.
I love this.
We are going to practice navigating weather-related small talk. On paper, it's a classic B1 or B2 conversational skill, but we are going to elevate it and execute it intentionally, utilizing natural, native-like phrasing.
Perfect. Action over distraction. We are doing the work right now. I will be the person initiating the conversation, perhaps as we walk into the office, and you can provide the natural response. Listeners, I want you to shadow us. I will leave brief pauses after our lines. I want you to literally repeat our sentences out loud in those gaps. We're going to keep the cadence very natural.
Let's begin the scenario.
Can you believe how heavily it's pouring out there? I got completely soaked just walking from my car to the lobby.
I'll give you a second to shadow that.
Okay, now my response.
I know, it's absolutely torrential. The forecast said it's supposed to clear up by this afternoon, though.
Take a second to repeat that response.
Great. Back to you.
I really hope they're right. I've been feeling a bit cooped up all morning and was really hoping to get some fresh air later.
Shadow that sentence out loud.
Okay, final response.
Fingers crossed. If the sun breaks through the clouds, it should actually be quite mild outside.
Repeat this final response.
Excellent.
That was a fantastic micro session. Did you notice the advanced descriptive vocabulary woven in there? Instead of saying heavy rain, we used torrential. Instead of saying bored inside, we used the idiom cooped up. Instead of not hot, not cold, we used mild. And we threw in the phrasal verb clear up.
That is exactly how you build practical, real-world momentum. Instead of spending 20 minutes searching for and downloading an app designed to teach you weather words, you just actively practiced it out loud in context, right here with us.
We just finished one small thing.
Exactly. And this precise moment of active execution brings us to the profound core of why this entire deep dive matters today. I want to look past the vocabulary and ask you, the listener, directly. Why should you care about the psychology and the neurology we've unpacked today?
Why does this actually matter for their life?
You should care, because if you are like the vast majority of intelligent, ambitious learners, you are likely carrying the heavy psychological burden of a digital graveyard.
A digital graveyard.
You have a folder of language apps sitting dormant at 12% complete on your phone. You have dozens of saved, expertly designed, yet completely unread grammar PDFs clogging your hard drive. You probably have a muted WhatsApp group optimistically titled Daily English Challenge, where the absolute last message sent was, "Let's all start tomorrow." And that was 3 months ago.
Ouch. That is painfully, uncomfortably relatable for so many of us. But here is the empowering truth you need to hear today. Those tools aren't inherently bad. The app's algorithm is fine. The PDF's grammar explanations are perfectly accurate. But your habit of leaving them early is what is actively costing you your fluency.
It's the method hopping.
Method hopping, driven by an unmanaged craving for dopamine and a fear of friction, is quite literally robbing you of the exact progress you are so desperately, exhaustingly looking for.
Which leads us directly to a final provocative thought that I want you to carry with you as you navigate the rest of your week. As you move forward today, the most critical, consequential question you can possibly ask yourself is no longer, what new revolutionary method do I need to find to finally become fluent?
That is the trap question. The real transformative question you must ask is, what resource is already helping me? And have I possessed the discipline to stay with it long enough to actually let the neuroplasticity work? Stop running after the superficial novelty.
And as a reward for demonstrating the discipline to stay focused with us until the very end of this comprehensive analysis, here is your promised bonus tip.
The bonus.
We've talked extensively about the concept of giving a method a fair chance, but what does that actually mean practically in terms of human biology? A fair chance for a new cognitive method is not evaluating it after one day. It is not watching one video and expecting fluency.
So what's the timeline?
Neurobiologically speaking, a fair chance is 1 to 2 full weeks of consistent, daily, deliberate practice. You must give your brain's neural networks that minimal amount of time to physically adapt before you allow yourself to judge your progress or make the executive decision to switch methods.
1 to 2 full weeks. That is the golden rule of cognitive commitment right there. If you are finally ready to stop the exhausting cycle of method hopping, if you are genuinely ready to build real sustainable momentum, I want you to scroll down to the comment box right now and publicly type these 3 powerful identity-shifting words. I am consistent.
I'm consistent.
Claim it. Put it into the world and signal to your brain that the era of emotional switching is officially over.
We also deeply value your input on this journey. Leave us some detailed feedback down below. What specific linguistic challenge or psychological hurdle do you want us to tackle in our next deep dive? Your direct feedback fundamentally shapes the curriculum of these audio experiences.
Absolutely. We read absolutely everything you guys post. If you found value in this deep dive, make sure to hit that like button, share it with a study buddy who needs to hear this exact message, and subscribe to the channel so you never miss out on these high-level insights.
It really helps the channel grow.
It does. And hey, if you want to push your reading comprehension further with a fantastic high-level article about the mechanics of English learning, go down to the description box. I have provided a special secure link down there. If you subscribe just once, you will receive highly researched premium articles delivered straight to your email inbox for free every single time we publish.
There is always another layer of nuance to uncover, always more to learn. If you enjoyed the depth of this conversation, there are many more extensive audio experiences available on the channel, all meticulously designed to challenge your fixed thinking and exponentially build your advanced vocabulary.
So go check out the archives and binge watch your absolute favorites. Thank you so much for spending your time with us today. See you next time. Keep your hard-earned momentum going, and whatever you do today, do not let the novelty fade.